So let's talk about digital transformation and a little bit of history. Um, we can go back to the 80s and 90s and direct mail and the role Karl Rove played in really optimizing the direct mail operation. Fast forward to 2008, there was much made about how Obama really took advantage of data and social media. 2012, the same thing, except it was far more streamlined and seemed efficient. 2016, the same thing, but we had bigger operations, we had more data. Can you help us understand the digital transformation of politics and why, or of campaigning, not necessarily policy, and are there lessons to be learned for business from the digital transformation of campaigning?
Yeah, I think that the biggest sort of technological context that I think about when I think about the role that data plays in driving decision making is simply Moore's law. Is the idea that as it becomes easier and easier to store massive amounts of data without having to pay a lot of money for it, it became easier for campaigns to broaden the scope of decisions that they were making that were driven by data in the first place. In the 2012 campaign that I worked on, I remember a lot of discussion around how we were going to pay for our infrastructure and how we were going to validate whether or not we were talking to the right people. I think in 2018, and as we think about sort of the future of data in politics, the conversation is no longer about how we store data. It's about how we move it around the cloud most effectively. How do we, the cost of sort of spinning up a database or storing massive amounts of data on voters has been driven drastically down by the advent of AWS, by Azure, by all of these cloud computing systems. And so the decision in politics is no longer, do I use data to figure out who do I speak to? That decision's been won, it's been arbitrated, it's been over. The question is, what's the best tactics that I can use? Of all of the different ways to spend a candidate's time, of all of the different ways to reach people through free means, whether by using a candidate's time or volunteer time or organic social media or whatever digital metrics you have, what are the ways that I can put my message in front of people through paid? And I think that's really where you're going to see the most innovation in the years to come, and I think the same on the business side as well. It's no longer about how do we put our message out passively and who do we speak to, but how do we balance our active marketing budgets across all the different ways we have to find the exact people that we care about and reach them where they're most likely to engage with our content and most likely to be persuaded by it.